I would say place all of your hope, faith, and trust in God and watch His miracles happen.
I think this is such a positive book, and I couldn't agree with you more. I think that your timing is absolutely just spot on, because everything is in such a mess, and we do need this positive words. We need these positive words, and I liked the fact that you talked about remain in the positive moment.
Yes.
And stay where you are. Put your head up and look around and see where you are, what's going on, and what's happening in your own life.
That's right. And we also need to be grateful for all that we have right now, Suzanne. Oh, my gosh. It's fabulous. For every sunrise, sunset, for nature, for our friends, for our family, for all that God has given us.
I'm so glad you mentioned gratitude, because it's so powerful. There's all kind of research that has been done around the idea and the practice of gratitude, and how powerful that can be for us as human beings, just to look up and recognize all of the positive things that we have and do exactly what you just said. Say thank you and recognize the good things that are going on in your life, because it's so easy to get run over by the bad things. I have to confess that I've stopped watching the national news. I can't stand...
Congratulations.
Thank you. Can't stand all the negative input. And for me, I go hop on the treadmill, and I do, 15, 20 minutes on the treadmill, and then I do some other exercises from 5 to 6 instead of seeing our local news here and watching the national news. I do something positive for myself.
Good for you. I mean, and that's what Mary tells me. She said, it's good to know or watch enough news to be informed, but not inundated. And so you're getting your news from maybe the internet or, a newspaper online where you could just glance over, but you get to form your own opinion about it. You don't need someone's take on it. You're doing the right thing.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. Yeah. That's great. I'm happy to hear it.
Thank
really.
you. Yeah. I've always been a person that tries to take care of myself. And I just realized that after these things were over, I felt so much worse. And I thought,
you do.
Wait a minute. Stop. Do something else.
Smart.
And so I made that choice.
Good for you. Good for you. And hopefully other people will hear what you just said, and they'll do the same thing. I know all of their ratings are going down. I'm sorry about that, but...
Yeah, me too. But
really.
Give me some good news in there. I need some puppies and some kitties. Come on, give me some good news.
We do. Because when we look around at our own friends and line of family, whatever, they're happy. Things are good. Come on. It's just sensationalism. A lot of it is,
Well, I know we have gotten the attention of our listeners. Let's let them know where to find the book. And it is on Amazon. Let me tell you how to find it on Amazon. If you've never done this before, I remember the first time that I went to Amazon to get a book, I thought, how do you do this? Because their website is a little overwhelming. So you just put www.amazon.com in your browser and click on it, and you will immediately be taken to the Amazon homepage. And when you look at it, it can be overwhelming because there's so much stuff. What you're looking for is just the blank box. It's a sort of a light gray, and it's a long rectangle. Here's what you type into that box. Here's the title of Denise's book. Love Conquers All, Spiritual Messages of Hope for Our Despairing World. And let me spell Denise's name for you. It's by Denise, Denise, Bachrodt, Bachrodt. Click on it, and the book will come up. You'll see the cover, and in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see the words, Look Inside. I didn't know what to do with that the first time I saw it. I thought, what does that mean? If you just put your cursor on those two words and give a little click, the book magically opens. I mean, I'm almost doing air quotes with that because I thought, really, look, it just magically opens and you get to read an excerpt from the book so that you get a feel for the book, you get a preview of the book, and the excerpt that's there is very, very good. You can also buy it on that same page. Now, Denise, I know that Amazon is the major bookseller in all markets right now. And so I know that sometimes people like to give the smaller guy, if you'll pardon the expression, the business. And so they're looking for another place that they can find the book. And I know your book is available a couple of other places. Let's tell our listeners where else they can find it.
Okay, on my website, which is loveconquersallllc.com, then you can do space Denise, and you'll find it quickly. Or barnesandnoble.com or balboapress.com, BALBOA press.com.
You mentioned your website. I've been and I've looked at it. It's lovely. Let's tell our listeners about the website and let's tell them what else they'll find there. You also have a blog.
Yes. I have, actually on my website, there's a little video that they've done to describe the book, Balboa Press. And then there's a little part you can click on and see a TCT TV show I had done in December. It was just for maybe 20 minutes describing my book. And that pretty much sums it up. You can just browse through it.
They can also get to the podcast on your website, right?
Thank you for reminding me, Suzanne. Yes.
Certainly.
My daily podcast is Love Conquers All, LLC, Podbean, PODBEAN.com. It's just 2 minutes, but it gives you hope every day.
Do you do sayings? Do you do just quotes? What do you do on your podcast?
On my podcast, what I do is I meditate first, and then I sit down and start the Dear Child message. And Mary talks to me, and I just write the message for the day, and then I read it off in this podcast. It's only 2 minutes.
It's really consistent with what you're doing in the book.
Yes. But you know, our Lord and Mary are up to date, up to the minute with our national current events. So the messages proceed with what's going on in our world each day. So they're very good. Because it's not me thinking, it's God thinking.
That makes a difference. I hear you. Right.
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
Now, we're getting toward the end of our time together, Denise.
Mm-hmm.
And when our listeners get a copy of Love Conquers All and become readers, you said it earlier, this is not the kind of book that you sit down and read cover to cover. This is the kind of book that you sit down and read part of, and you close it and you think about it. And then maybe you've left it on your nightstand, so you pick it up, as you said, and you just let the book open itself, and you read the next part. So you'll go through the book slowly, but you'll go through the book. And there will come a time when our listeners will become readers, and they'll read that very last page of Love Conquers All, and they'll close the back cover. What do you really want from a bottom-line standpoint? What do you want that reader, after they've taken the book and read through it completely, to take away?
I want them to know in their hearts and souls that ours is the generation that shall experience it all, peace on earth and Christ's second coming.
This has just been interesting, fun, delightful. I've enjoyed our conversation so much. I'd like to thank you for being my guest on Books on Air. It's just been a pleasure.
Oh, my pleasure, too. Thank you, Suzanne. I hope to meet you in person one day.
Me too.
That would be fun.
Remember, you can find Love Conquers All, Spiritual Messages of Hope for Our Despairing World by Denise, Denise, Bachrodt, Bachrodt, on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. You've been listening to the Books on Air podcast, brought to you on webtalkradio.net. You can also hear this podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and Apple Podcasts. I'm Suzanne Harris. I hope you'll join me for our next Books on Air podcast, because remember, you never know who's going to be here, and you never know what we'll be talking about. Thank you so much for listening.